this year, I had the privilege, along with 2,500 other people, of biking from San Francisco to Los Angeles as part of the AIDS life cycle. And the second day of that ride was my favorite day. It's 100 miles biking through what I call the heartland of California. And in the early morning hours, all around me were hundreds of people picking vegetables, putting fruits in basket, people putting foods on our table, a lot of them Chicana, Latino. Our next guest is someone who knows those fields well, having grown up in California and now has devoted her life to the empowerment of those communities. Welcome, Olga Talamante.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that introduction.
Well, you know, it was interesting talking to you beforehand. It reminded me of that experience. I twice have now done the bike ride from San Francisco to LA, one 19 years ago and now just earlier this year. And that second day of the ride is still the same. It looked the same 19 years ago. It looked the same this year. It probably looked the same as when you were a young woman from Mexico working in those fields. Has it changed? Have the lives of the people that put the food on our tables in California gotten better?
Unfortunately, not as much as it should be. Some things have gotten better. When my family and I were working in the fields, this is the 1960s, early 70s, we would work day in and day out with no water available, no restroom facilities available. The Farm Workers Union that Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta led certainly brought about some changes around those issues, around representation, of course, which was also very important. And there are better, some complexes, some housing complexes that are better. I would just say, though, that the life of most of our farm working families is still very hard and with much to change. And so, you know, a lot of the students that we work with come from those families, and I see myself so much reflected in them. And here they are, like I did, able to get scholarships to go to college and bring some changes to the families. But it's not only bringing changes to the families, we have to bring changes to the system, to the systems that allow these kinds of living conditions to exist. So, well, it's doing both.
Yes. You know. Now, you are the executive director of the Chicana Latina Foundation, but it has existed for how long, you said?
37 years. I've been the executive director now for 12 years.
So it was this a collaborative before it had a.
Absolutely. Oh, it was a total volunteer work. I was on the board actually before I became the executive director. I was working with another youth empowerment organization, and so at some point we said we have to have an executive director. So be careful what you ask for, because you know that's what you're going to land. But I've just been just blessed and feel so fortunate to work as the executive director for the last 12 years, and we've been able to grow and expand and expand our services and our reach and do everything that we can do to empower our young women to be the leaders of California. As you know, 40% of the population is Latino. Latina women can play a huge role in terms of the future of California and really of our whole country.
You know, I remember that day so well, biking through the farm country. How many Californians do you think have any idea of the people, the women, who put food on our tables by working every day in the fields?
I don't think people do. It's sort of this sort of hidden population. People don't even know, where do people live? Where do these folks live? And how do these families survive? And how do they make sure that their children are also part of this the American society? I'll give you an example of where I think people also don't understand the plight of these rural communities. We have a program to close the digital divide, which, as you know, Comcast does also. And so we are trying to reach the rural communities, like in Pescadero, Half Moon Bay, in King City, in Soledad, and those areas that you talked about.
We bike through all of them.
That you bike through them. Well, people don't have internet access there. So their children cannot come home and do their homework
and learn.
Like the millions of students that do that, because they don't have computers, they don't have internet access. And so people don't even understand that. People just like, what? Someone doesn't have internet access? Someone is not connected to the internet? Someone does not have a computer at home? So largely, it is our rural, low-income immigrant communities that are not connected to the internet. It's almost 48% of the Latino population is not connected to the internet. So,
wow.
Yeah, in addition to our work with these young, very bright, very amazing young Chicana Latina college students, we also do that work to connect our low-income families to the internet.
Now, the organization itself, administratively, is based where?
Our offices are in Burlingame. We cover all of Northern California. We have students that come from Sonoma, from Sacramento, in the East Bay. So we give scholarships to students in community colleges, undergraduate and graduate programs. So as far south is Gilroy, and then Santa Cruz, and of course the UC schools in the area, the state schools in the area, and the community colleges. So it's the Northern California counties that we cover, and we have 30 students each year that receive our scholarship out of over 200 that apply. So it's very competitive. It's a very selective process, not because these students are divas or anything like that, but because they represent those students that know what their situation is, where they want to go, and they also see themselves connected to the future of their communities.
Right.
We of course emphasize that you have to do well academically, personally, that you have to succeed professionally, and so on, for you and for your family, to make those changes and break those cycles of poverty and so on. But we also want them to see their future connected with the community.
And take the gifts that they have been given, or the benefits that they have gotten through education, back to their family communities.
Absolutely.
What is the most challenging pocket of your work in California? I mean, you mentioned some communities that I think a lot of people have never driven through, much less biked through: Soledad and King City and Half Moon Bay. Is there a pocket where your work is most concentrated in the Chicana Latina Foundation?
Not really. I think we sort of do a good swath of work. We have students from San Francisco State. We have students from San Jose State. We have students from Santa Rosa Junior College, from Cañada College, from Gavilan College, and so I would say not so much geographical, but in terms of, if I was going to talk about a profile that is of the students, and it's really actually all of our students fall in this profile. They're low income. They qualify for Pell Grant and Cal Grant, and that's one of the ways that you determine that. 96% of them are the first to go to college
in their family.
First generation to go to college. 30% are undocumented. Over 50% are immigrant or from immigrant families. This kind of profile is what's considered at risk.
Right. In our last few moments, talk to me about one. You have a big event coming up, a celebration in October.
Yes, absolutely. This is where we provide the scholarships to the students. So on October the 10th, we're going to be at the San Francisco Marriott Marquis Hotel. We are going to present a legacy award to the iconic Sheila E. And because we're celebrating the role that music has played in our movement and in our quest for social change. And we also have a young Mexican singer, and that's the Emerging Leader Award. So we will present these scholarships to these students. We have over 800 people that come, elected officials, educators, of course the students and their families. So it's a big celebration for the things that are going well in our community. These students are graduating. Over 90% of our students finish their bachelor's degree. Almost 88% of them transfer from community college to a four-year program. And so these are the kinds of outcomes that we want really throughout the educational system. And we are partnering with some of the educational institutions so they can see some of the work that we're doing in our leadership training that allows for that kind of success, which is way above the average outcomes.
So it is a fundraiser, but it's also a friend-raiser as well.
Yes, absolutely a fundraiser, and we invite our business partners and institutions and foundations to be part of it. It's become one of the most popular events in the Bay Area, and I'm not kidding you when I say that.
Well, hopefully we'll see you there.
Okay.
Olga, thank you. It's been an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
We've been speaking with Olga Talamante of the Chicana Latina Foundation, doing important ongoing work for communities of color right here in California. I'm David Perry. Thanks for watching 10%. We'll see you next week.